There are a couple other interesting things I want to point out about the MetaMask extension. In the last video, when we first installed MetaMask and entered that initial password, the MetaMask extension automatically generated a new account for us. So you'll see right here, it says very clearly that we are currently authenticated as account number 1. And then right underneath that, you'll see kind of a weird string of characters. Let's talk more about exactly what it means to have an account. When MetaMask created an account for us, it created an account that has 3 distinct pieces of information: an account address, a public key, and a private key. These are the 3 pieces of information that constitute an account on the Ethereum network. The account address can be thought of as essentially being like an email address. It's a unique identifier that can be shared with anyone in the world, and it tells other people who you are. It identifies your account in some fashion. Again, you can think of it as being like an email or a username. The other 2 pieces of information are the public key and the private key. These 2 pieces of information combine together to essentially form a password of sorts. The public key and the private key are used to authorize the sending of funds from your account to other accounts. So if someone does not have the private key to an account, they don't have true access to any of the funds that are assigned to that account. The account address, public key, and private key are all stored as hexadecimal numbers. So I have examples of an account address, a public key, and a private key off to the left-hand side here. Again, these are hexadecimal numbers. So I can take this number right here, and if I wanted to, I could open up my Chrome console and paste it in. Whenever we enter a hexadecimal number into the JavaScript console, it'll automatically be converted to a base 10 number and returned back to us. So if I hit enter right now, you'll see that this long hexadecimal number is actually the number 8 times 10 to the 76. That is an incredibly large number. That's a gigantic number, incomprehensibly large. This number is what uniquely constitutes our private key. The private key should never be shared with other people, because if anyone else ever gets the private key, then they can easily take all the funds that are assigned to your account. It's incredibly unlikely that anyone will ever guess your private key because it is such a large number. In fact, you are incomprehensibly more likely to win the lottery like 10, 30, 5 million times in a row than ever guess someone else's private key. Now there is one interesting thing about the account that was created for us by MetaMask. Let's take a look at it again. So here's my account number 1, and right underneath that, the string of characters that we see are the first couple characters of my account address. So my account address is 0xCF76, and then some other characters after that. I printed out the full account address that was generated for me right here. So again, you'll see 0xCF76. So it's the same thing that you see right here. Now I want to show you some interesting behavior. I want you to think about, say, signing up for an email address at Gmail and then going over to Yahoo and signing up for an email address. When you go to those 2 separate services and create an email address at both of them, you are creating 2 distinctly separate accounts, right? Like those are 2 separate accounts. But in the Ethereum world, one account is used across all different networks that we ever interact with. So I can prove that to you. You'll notice right now that, again, I'm on account CF76 and I'm connected to the Rinkbead test network. If I change my network, however, over to the main Ethereum network, and we'll let the thing load up. When I change it over, you'll notice that my account address is still identical. So in other words, we only are ever going to work with one account, but that one account is going to connect to all the different Ethereum networks that are out there. And remember, some of the big ones to remember are the main network, Ropsten, Kovan, and Rinkeby. Now, just a second ago, I said that we're only ever going to work with one account. To be precise, we will be creating several accounts throughout this course, and there's absolutely no limit to the number of accounts you can make. All I mean to say is that one account is used across all networks. We don't have to create separate accounts for each network unless we very specifically want to. Okay, so that's a little bit more about MetaMask. So we've got a better idea of exactly how we get identified and how we connect to different networks that are publicly available. I'm sure that you still want to hear a little bit more about how we send and receive Ether tokens, however. So let's take a pause right here. We're going to continue the next section, and we're going to get a little experience with sending and receiving Ether tokens. So I'll see you in just a minute.